Attica Scott is a unique face of America, a state representative of Kentucky. She is one of the few people and few women of color in elected office. Kentucky is seen as one of the more proactive states in the national COVID-19 response, but this is an area where 17% of its people are living in poverty and where a disproportionate number of black people are being infected. All of us are vulnerable to this pandemic, but some of us are clearly much more so. How is COVID-19 impacting the state of Kentucky, but also the people that you serve in your own district, district number 41?
In the state, we are seeing that this global pandemic is also impacting the Commonwealth of Kentucky, that no one is going untouched, that all of us, I would argue, know someone. In my church, we recently had a deacon who died from COVID-19. And so across Kentucky, people have experienced loss. And right here in District 41, the district that I serve, we're experiencing the challenges of trying to go to the grocery store and be able to buy enough groceries for 2 weeks. We're now experiencing back to school because it's all online. And I know that this country was not in any way, form, or fashion ready to respond to this virus at all.
You don't believe it was ready?
Oh, I know the country wasn't ready. I see it.
Compared to, say, US epicenters like New York, you're seen as progressive and you're seen as a state that's getting it right. How are you doing and what are you doing?
People are listening to the advice that they're being given, whether it's from public health officials or it's from elected officials or it's from their place of worship, if they worship. People are heeding the advice. One of the things about Louisville is that it is a city that has always been strong with organizing and people working together. And, before COVID-19, we had a culture of knocking on doors and talking to people. And so we've had to turn that into telephone calls, phone trees, and social media. But that means we haven't missed a beat. While we are not able to necessarily knock on the door of an elder, we're able to call. We may not be able to knock on the door of a young person, but we're able to connect with them on social media.
Kentucky is a state which has 17% poverty. Who do you think is vulnerable?
I see in rural parts of our state where people have to literally drive an hour, maybe 2 hours to access healthcare services. That's a real barrier. And on top of that, we're talking about a mountainous region, the Appalachian Mountains that people are traveling across.
The governor of Kentucky says that black people make up 12% of the state's COVID cases, even though they only make up 8.4% of its total population. Why is that? It can't be chance.
It's not chance. It's just like what we're seeing in other parts of the country, inequities and the ways in which the healthcare system discriminates against. So people showing up and being told that, their symptoms are not something to worry about. Don't be concerned about that. Come back if it gets worse. We live in a country as a whole where Black men already experience racial profiling and police violence. And to expect Black men to be able to wear masks in public and feel safe, it means that people who want to be healthy, who want to be safe, who want to live, have to fear that it's not COVID-19 that will take them out. We're human just like everyone else, and we feel the ache and pain of this disease.
There have been race-based attacks on Asians around the world, and specifically a rise in anti-Chinese sentiment. How best do you actually bring people together?
We have a responsibility to immediately correct someone who expresses anti-Asian sentiment. I also think that with that responsibility is the opportunity to mobilize people collectively for action. I just imagine the power that we could build if Black folks in the United States and people who are Asian came together and said, we're going to transform this country in a way that reflects all of us and welcomes all of us and takes care of all of us.
I was so taken aback when I read that in the summer of 2015, you went to China. First of all, what was it like to be in China, and what was it like to work there in the community as well?
It was one of the most amazing experiences in my life. I had never been out of the country before, so it was the first time I needed to get a passport and a visa. So that was a very unique experience for me. And then to spend almost a month in China was magnificent. And I was teaching about United States government and politics. So I was, in my comfort zone, able to bring real life experience to students who had never been to the United States either. I still stay in touch with many of my students on WeChat. Every few weeks or so, we connect with one another, share photos, and leave one another voice mail messages.
Is there a moment here that we're all being called to fulfill our civic duty at this time of enormous need for people almost everywhere?
We're called to look out for one another, not only the neighbor who lives right next door, but the neighbor in another state and the neighbor in another country. And we don't have time or space for division. We have to figure out how we move forward together.
Representative Attica Scott, it's an enormous pleasure speaking with you. All the very best of luck in this really difficult time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chau, and please stay healthy and safe.
The China Current continues its special coverage on the coronavirus outbreak. Go to our social media at The China Current and our website for interviews, videos, and podcasts. I'm James Chau. Thank you.